Hey guys, welcome back to Brothers Off Script. I'm Jerry.
I'm Ryan.
And I have been thinking a lot this week about tonight's topic. You're hearing about it all the time, and the topic is bullies. Yeah. It's all over the place. It's in politics, it's in the school, it's just everywhere right now.
Yeah, you're always going to be witness to bullies, or let's say the most recent incident I saw was a little bit of road rage. Guy kind of got cut off, maybe just didn't know where he was going, made a late turn, kind of pulled in front of somebody in the turn lane, and then as soon as he got in front of this guy's driving a big old truck. I would like to say, I want to call it out because it's so unique, but somewhere on this vehicle that would be an identifier of the vehicle, it said Savage was actually the name of the vehicle. So
he named his truck?
Well, it was his license plate. So
okay.
I don't know. Anonymous, don't go out there and bust on them. I don't think we have that many fans in Anonymous at this point, so we're probably okay. Anyways, this guy, cool truck, big giant lifted truck, which seems to be a big thing out here. But you're not proving anything by being on big wheels unless you drive off road, in which case you might need them. Other than that, the guy cut him off. So hey, he felt slighted, and he decided to make a statement to this other person by turning the brights on, which in the rear view, unless you flip the little thing, it can be kind of annoying, and even then it can still be kind of bright. Maybe your side mirrors are catching you right in the eyes. And then he kind of tailgated this guy for about a mile, 2 miles up the road. So this person may have been in fear for their life. And that's something that's pretty close to home. I think I mentioned it before, but I had opened my mouth and threatened to kill somebody with a joke in my heart. But they took it seriously and felt threatened.
Yeah.
And that was a felony. So don't do that, but
so I'll say this too. Like, I think about, now that I've been in the workplace, obviously I think all of us, I would assume almost everyone goes through a situation in their childhood, whether it's inside your family or in school, where you're being bullied, right? Somebody has either, and it's mostly physical power, right? Somebody has the ability to inflict pain on you. My daughter, Charlotte, got hit in the face by a boy at school, and just slapped in the head for trying to clean up the classroom. And they talked to the kid, and they had this conversation, but I'm trying to explain to her how to try to deal with this. And then as you move forward into the teenage years, it's all verbal, right? So you're a nerd, right? You're dumb. You're a geek.
I think we're using elementary language at that point, because the modern verbal assaults that kids level against each other using Facebook
or Twitter
or anything, to be socially connected to people. Block is a good thing on Facebook. You should use it a lot.
Private profiles. Right. And I'm censoring myself. To be called a nerd is maybe not as big of a deal as it was when I was in high school. But obviously there are things in the words, and it's not necessary to repeat them all, but there are a lot of words that are used to attack kids. And then in the high school years, and then as you become an adult, for me, and I know you did this, I worked through very manual labor jobs. I pushed carts at a store. I flipped videos at a video store. I don't even have video stores anymore. I did very manual work, and it was only because of going through the military that I was able to then, I feel, become and work my way out of that and become successful in terms of a management position. But even inside management, I see, and we've talked about aspects of this. We've talked about confrontation. We've talked about, power. I see managers who are bullies, right? Whether they be young people who are just getting their first taste of leadership positions, or they be more older people, men and women, in all kinds of positions in the workplace, who are jerks.
And the power's gone to their head, and they start power tripping on people and telling them to do menial tasks for no reason.
Exactly.
This isn't really your job, but it's like the manager who basically fired you because you didn't take a break.
right? My time I got fired from Walmart, right?
Yeah.
There was no need for him to fire me.
No.
He was not in any immediate threat. I wasn't in any immediate threat. He made a choice to do that. And thank you, sir, because I've got a much better life now.
Well, it takes a push every once in a while. I mean, I was recently in a job that I didn't hate it necessarily, but I didn't really see any way out. And an opportunity came along that I took, and that's when it's actually a supervisory position. So I'm helping people answer their questions and deal with their problems, and at the same time, I'm expected to push them to better perform without being a jerk. So I've been, for the last couple of weeks, as I've been at this job, I've been very much not necessarily too friendly, but I'm definitely trying to portray myself as being on the same level as them. But when there is an issue, I make it known, you could come to me with this issue, or if I see an issue, bringing it up before it gets out of hand. Because I've been in that position before where I was too much of somebody's friend, and when it came time to kind of like level it, and say, hey, it'd be really great if you could work a little faster. I got told, that I'm not qualified. I'm not the boss of me or them or anybody else really. I'm just another grunt. And it was like, yes, I might not have a title, but I was told this position it was requiring me to be more than I wanted to be, and that was kind of uncomfortable because I didn't have anything to back me up. Now with the title, I can kind of say, like, look, I'm supervisor, so you kind of need to do what I say, but I've found in my own maturity that I have a lot better ways to work around being a bully to get somebody to do something.
It just doesn't work.
Right.
It just doesn't work. It's a short-term method to gain compliance that ultimately results in your failure. I had to take a course. I wish I could get a copy of it. I think it's still out there. It's called The Super Supervisor by Mildred Ramsey. And this is a lady who worked, she was like a 40-year line worker, and she became a management consultant. And she basically said this, boss, don't you treat me without respect. She said, because when your back was turned, I know how to mess with your coffee pot. Now, when a 65-year-old woman tells you, or 70-year-old woman tells you she knows how to mess with your coffee pot, believe her. It's not gonna
like an odd threat. It's an old book, obviously, or an old course.
It's an old course. These were on VHS when I saw them. So I'm just telling you that the thought process as a leader of becoming a bully is wrong, and yet now I'm a parent. Mm-hmm. I have kids in school. We have this political climate where this word gets thrown around, and I don't just mean in the presidential race. I mean, this is happening. This is on radio almost every single day. Some kids felt bullied, and so they took their own life. Yeah. Some kids felt bullied, and so they went out and shot up a school. Some kids felt bullied, and so they took drugs or drank too much and got in a car wreck. They were depressed. They had to leave the school. Mm-hmm. And then in the political arena, to say, I don't agree with you, and I think you're being selfish, is being called a bully, right? And then you have what appears to be completely legitimate, and to me, it's like, if you put your hands on somebody without their consent,
right, then you're a predator.
Again, if you put your hands on people without their consent, men or women, by women or men, it's putting your hands on people without consent, right? Now they call that assault. Actually, they don't even call that bullying when you're an adult. No. It's assault.
Everyone lives in this bubble, in their own bubble, in a sense, and some things might be acceptable to you, and they're not acceptable to other people, and walking that fine line where it's okay for me to be close to you, but I can't be close to this other person, or I can joke with you in a way that's maybe more like locker room talk or something like that, instead of actually saying it to somebody else, and it stays in context with the person that I'm talking to. And I found myself to be very good at that, and I feel like it's being a chameleon in a sense, where you just kind of blend into every different clique or group that you're a part of. Like, I've always been pretty cordial with everyone, anyone, doesn't matter.
It's a good way to be.
And you were talking about this before, and it was when somebody attacks you, make a joke out of it, make it funny. Because if you take away their ability to hurt you emotionally, then maybe that's what they're going after.
Absolutely.
And you can turn the situation around to the point where they don't have any power and no one's going to follow their lead. And I've been in that too, where I watched this is my old coworker, he's a really nice guy. And one of my other coworkers is kind of a jerk, but I think he does it in a sense because he wants the attention.
Sure.
And if he watches this video, you know who I'm talking about. It's you.
You probably think this song is about you.
Yeah, it is. But this other guy, it was a really nice guy.
You got to make up a name for him so we can.
He started. I'll call him Sparky.
Sparky. All right.
Yep. Devil Boy and Sparky.
Devil Boy.
So Devil Boy, his influence around on this group of people, our clique at work, was, I'm gonna make fun and poke at you and be a bully. And I watched Sparky join in, like literally turn from this other guy who I kind of knew and was like, he's a pretty nice guy. He still is. I mean, but in that situation, I became the butt of the jokes. And it was harsh, some of the stuff that they were saying. But I could dish it out just as good as I could take it. So it doesn't end up with me, crying in a ball on the floor or something like that. But I understood the context with which they were attacking me. And I understood that my recourse was to attack back. Verbally,
sure,
demeaning, to be as big a bully as they were, so that we all stayed on the same power plane. And
it's the right way to go. Like, this is a problem with people who take themselves too seriously. Everybody's funny sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you're not funny with jokes, maybe you're funny looking. If you're not funny looking, right? Maybe you have a funny voice. But everybody's funny sometimes. And so you have these people who take themselves so seriously, and their self-righteousness is what they armor themselves up with, their rightness. Mm-hmm. And then they go into the war, and they're going to prove that you're wrong, and they're going to show the whole world that you're wrong. And you just say, I just wanted to tell you today, you look incredibly ugly. And they just, and the whole room laughs at them, and you go, but I still like you. And you don't like them. And in that moment, you've taken the power of self-righteousness and you flipped it on its head to, I think the old line, this is a biblical line, right? That it's essentially that if you're being nice to someone, you're heaping burning coals onto their head, which is a bad thing to do. I mean, burning coals on someone's head, that's mean, right? But like, to be kind in that situation, or you can say, hey, I just wanted you to know you look real nice today. And it's just, what happened? You can flip the script on people to where it's not their situation, where it's not their power. I had this conversation with a coworker a while back. And they were expressing to me that they were really, really frustrated with their boss. They felt like they just weren't being heard. They felt like they were being retaliated against. And I said, well, they had to go into this meeting with this boss. And I said, just say okay to everything they say. Right? They're going to tell you, you can't leave. And you just say, okay. Yeah. And they're going to tell you, well, why do you want to leave? Yeah, I just feel like it's good for a change. Well, I don't feel like it's good for a change.
I saw
Okay.
I saw a meme on the internet, and it was how to say forget you at work. Okay, great.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like, how do you say it at work? You can't, to these people. So you just say, okay, great. And you just walk on. And
It just takes away. It takes away all of the power.
Especially if they want that resistance.
Well, they do, right? Like, so when you see a true bully, in my opinion, especially in the workplace, what they are trying to do is they're trying to threaten you into having a reaction that they can then try to hold over your head and get you to do things. It's like blackmail, okay? So you reacted inappropriately, unprofessionally. You popped off. Mm-hmm. Now they've got it on tape, or they've got a statement. They say, on this date at this time, you did this, and I know it, and you know it, and so we've got proof that you did it. You were unprofessional, so you're going to do this. You're going to go to night shift. You're going to write the report I want. You're going to do these things that I told you to do.
This is all
you're
horrible bosses.
Yeah, it is. It is. And these are the things.
This isn't bullies anymore. It's just bad.
So I'll switch back. But these are the same kind of people, right? So if you take that back to how do I, as a dad, approach that for my kids?
Yeah.
How do I teach my kids to have a sense of humor about somebody who's mean to them? I have 4 girls and a son. And in my head, I know that I shouldn't necessarily give them different advice, but I'm going to give them different advice because that's just how I am.
It's all about the situation.
And I'm going to teach my girls how to take that power by making them a joke. They're not quite ready for that lesson yet.
Right, because it's reaction time and timing and everything else. But if you think about it, the only option that you have right now is go full Miyagi. You know what I mean? Just get them out in the yard, waxing on, waxing off. After they're done washing the car, then you show them Karate Kid, and then maybe they learn something.
We've been shadow boxing.
That's it.
But I'll say this, I don't feel proud of this. So I felt very socially disconnected when I was in high school. I hated school. I hated all of it.
Yeah.
I remember at one point, I was I was suspended several times for having gotten beat up at school. That was that period of time where if you were involved in a fight, you got kicked out of school. And I was the victim. Right. I got beat up by kids because I was told not to fight at school because I was going to get in more trouble at home. And so I remember after one incident in the 6th or 7th grade, I told my parents I wasn't going back anymore. I was just done. I said, you can take me to school, but I'm done. I was so upset by being in that environment that I wasn't going to do it anymore. And they talked to me and talked to me and talked to me, and we had a meeting with the principal and the vice principal, and finally, okay, fine, I'll go back to school. It didn't fix anything.
No.
And the next year, I began to really go to what I think was a pretty dark place, where I would, when the cool kids at school would start to talk to me and tell me how worthless I was and how bad I was and how bad I dressed and how bad I looked, I began to respond with verbal violence.
Right.
And you can't do that in the current school system. You'll not only be expelled, but you'll be referred to the police.
Right. Well, that's basically what happened to me.
But that's how I got through it.
Right.
Was I would say some heinous garbage
right.
about violence to these kids, and they would stop.
Right, because it's scary. So I think everyone looks at, an animal and they see that they're the higher being, and they can say whatever they want, do whatever they want to this animal. And the animal has no recourse, right? But if you attack a dog or something like that, like a small pet, like our aunt's Chihuahua, for example, I have never tried to hurt this dog. I have done everything I can to win its favor.
Are we talking about Ginger?
We're talking about Ginger. I reach out, and the snarls and the biting, the snapping, and everything like that. And I actually got bit by her one time, and I was like, oh, okay, wait, that doesn't hurt. All right, I'm okay now. But I was actually afraid of this little chihuahua, this little old little chihuahua.
Super fat,
very, very super protective of my aunt and uncle, and whenever hey, and you try, and it fights so hard to keep you at bay. But it's that same thing, is you're that animal in that situation, and you've been beaten or pushed, or you feel threatened enough that you're going to lash out. Your bark essentially might not be as bad as your bite, or your bite might not be as bad as your bark, but you think about it as, instead of being the victim now, like, if I'm going out, I'm taking you out with me.
Right.
And the way that, and this same thing happened to me, is I was being bullied, and this got me expelled. Weird series of events. I found a pocket knife in the field on the way to work. I carried this pocket knife with me from then on. And the threat existed in my mind before it ever happened, that if this guy bullied me, that I was going to do damage. And because I felt that it was a him or me situation. And I really think that that's what every kid is going through.
I do too.
These kids are in these situations nowadays where there's no disconnect anymore. You used to be able to go home, safe place. Maybe it's not a safe place. Maybe you feel overworked and underpaid in a sense. As a student, you literally are. There's nothing you can do. You got to get up early, go to home, or go to school, sit around for 8 hours, come home, do chores, do your homework, tell everybody about your day, try and make everybody understand. And then you got siblings who want to talk about their day. Excuse me. And everybody wants to have their part, and you just want to scream every once in a while, like, listen to me, I got something to say, this thing is important. And so you don't get that, you don't get anything off your chest, and so you just dwell on the things, and then it's like, all right, it's nighttime, I gotta go to my room, and I'm sitting in my room, browsing my internet history, or phone, or Facebook, or something like that, or, and I see this, for whatever reason, people on Facebook are friends with people they're not friends with. Stop being Facebook friends. Start being real friends. Yeah. You know, if you want to have a Facebook account, fine. I have one, but my primary focus with Facebook is to communicate with family and close friends. Not any old person that Facebook says, do you know this person? Somebody else knows this person. You should know this person too. It's like, I'm not going to be friends with all these people. I can't listen to you that much. I don't have time for it. So I have narrowed it down to just a few people that really matter to me, I guess, in my life, and that's how I want to keep it. So if you're friends with the people on Facebook at school who aren't your friends, or who are friends with people you don't like, and you don't bother to censor anything that you see, like, you don't have to follow everybody. Maybe you want to check somebody's page out and not have it shoved in your face, fine. But you're seeing negative comments, and then you make a response. That's the worst thing to do, is respond to somebody else's comment on somebody else's page, because you're just jumping into a conversation you were never invited in, and then that adds like this level of, you shouldn't be in this conversation. It's not about you. We don't need to hear your opinion, because nobody was really asking for anyone's opinion. They were just making a broad statement on a subject that may or may not matter to you. And so you feel, oh, well, they don't want to listen to me. That's a threat. That's an attack on my person. I'm not being respected. So you know what? I know this one thing about you that nobody should know. And wink, wink, hint, hint, doo-doo, emoticon, whatever. And then you're like, I don't know. I don't get into these conversations, but I'm sure that this exact situation has happened. And people are stuck then with the idea that what they're saying has no value. And so when they attack, they're attacking not just the person that they're sending the message to or trying to leave this message for, but you're making a comment on somebody else's page, and that person sees it because they follow everybody, and they see it, and they see it, and they see it, and all these people see it, and it all just ends up being this, somehow your one comment made it all the way around to somebody you definitely didn't want that to hear that, and then that person is now your mortal enemy, so that you have to go face that person in life book and not get, and they're going to sit there and dwell on it. And that's the worst thing to do, is sit and dwell on this false slight and be, in a sense, consumed with this anger and hatred.
Yeah.
And I've seen that, and I had that happen to me with this kid. And even though it wasn't that big of a deal, it's like I told him, I'm going to take you out. And then I'm going to take myself out because I didn't want to do any jail time. I was kind of weak that way. But before I did that, I did the only thing I could. I went to somebody else in the classroom who I thought was kind of my friend, and I said, hey, I need you to go tell the teacher. This is what's about to go down. And so after that, I did my little threat, and then the teacher got informed, and the teacher pulled me out, and all was all real hush and quiet. I mean, this kid had no idea. No idea. Even though I was telling him the bold-faced truth that I had a weapon, and I was feeling threatened by him, and that if he continued to threaten me, that there was going to be consequences. And I want the end of it.
Yeah, so I want to just interject there. I know. Well, so here's the thing, though, right? So we've got this situation where, and this is what I was describing in your case too. So people can attack you in a school, attack an individual daily, okay, with all kinds of things that affect their life. They can call them all kinds of names. They can say all kinds of things about their family. They can say things about their skin color. They can say things about their race, their religion, their ethnic heritage, their gender, their sexuality. Everything can be attacked, okay? And then when that person who's the victim of that
response
talks about violence,
yeah,
they're gone.
Right.
They can go to jail. And so we've got this, like, it's like this hair trigger mechanism, right? And it's done because we've had these incidences of school shootings and stabbings within school that are horrific and horrible and are absolute tragedies.
Right, but the response is umbrella coverage.
But it doesn't deal with the root cause.
Right.
The root cause was not that one kid went crazy. The root cause was that we're allowing a culture that's got no safety valve.
Yeah.
Right? There is no pushing and shoving in the hallway anymore. Let's be real honest about what school fights were really like. They weren't that big of a deal because when you're 12 or 14, you're not that good at fighting.
Right.
Okay? They're not that big of a deal. You get a bloody lip or a bloody nose, you get shoved down, everybody knows about it, you get broke up and you both get in trouble. And then you go back to school. Except now you go to jail and somehow we're creating a safer society when there's no safety valve. So the arguments and the attacks that children are using are 100% verbal. 100%. But there is no safety valve. And I'm not saying that violence is somehow going to save people from being psychotic.
No.
What I'm saying though is that we're not fixing this issue.